Hello, YouTube. Today we have a very interesting video. We are going to talk about the Mormons, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and we're going to look a bit at their background first, and then we're going to hear from a Jewish rabbi. I'm going to give my reaction to what he says about the Mormons, and you'll have to stick around to see what I say and if I agree or disagree with him. But it's very interesting to see what he says. It's very interesting to see what people of different faiths are talking about. So first, you have to stick around. So please like our video and subscribe to this channel so you can get more interesting videos. Please share it with your friends and write some comments to help the algorithm. The algorithm always needs your help because it doesn't work by itself. So let's go ahead and begin. So I'm going to talk about the first vision of their prophet Joseph Smith. Now, I was a former Mormon when I was young, so I can tell you a bit about the church and then give my response to the rabbi. So I will give you some background first. So Joseph Smith, he was born in New York in the United States in the early 1800s, and around 1830, he decided to find the Mormon church. He created his own church, and he said he was a prophet. He claimed to be a prophet of God. We have another video that talks about that on our channel, so you can go back and watch that. It's kind of long, but this is a bit of a sequel, so it's very interesting to see what he has to say. But he said that he saw God the Father, and he saw Jesus Christ appear to him in a grove of trees near his parents' home when he was about 14 years old. That's very young. As we talked about in the other video, Moses, when he got the Torah from the angel, he never got to see God. But when he got the Torah from the angel, he was 40, not 14. And it was the same thing for Prophet Muhammad. But here is Joseph Smith as a young teenager saying that he saw God and Jesus. So that's kind of interesting. But the wonderful thing is that there are many versions about this vision, and the first several versions that you won't find on the church website. There are actually two accounts on the church website. One he gave in 1832, and then he one in 1835, and it looks like they have added a third one. So there used to be two that they use officially. So the one that you will hear if you meet some Mormon missionaries, you'll see them walking around in their shirts and ties and their nice suits, riding bicycles in the hot weather or in the cold weather. They are very diligent about going around. Sometimes they knock on your door and try to tell you about Joseph Smith. And what they will tell you is that Joseph Smith, at the age of 14, he saw God the Father and he saw Jesus Christ. That's what they will tell you. And they have the story memorized. They will say it to you without looking at their books. They have it in their minds. But the thing about Mormon missionaries, when you start to point out things in the Bible that doesn't agree with the Mormon church, then they will say, well, sorry, we're out of time and we have another appointment. So that's how you can get rid of them. But you could also try to convert them. So I try to tell them about the Quran, but that's a different story. We will talk about that in another video. But today we are just talking about the history of Joseph Smith, and then we will see what this rabbi says. So please like the video and share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget. So how about our algorithm? So that is the introduction about Joseph Smith. So he claimed to have a vision. In the first account, he says to have seen an angel. The angel's name was Moroni, and he gave him a book. This book, these golden tablets, they were actually in a mountain, a hill. It's called Hill Cumorah. It was not a big mountain, but just a hill. And he found the tablets, and there was a translator stone next to the tablets. And so he translated it with the help of God. That's what he claimed. He looked into his hat and he dictated the book. So Yeah, we will talk about the book a bit. It has a lot of things from the Bible, particularly the King James Version of the Bible. So now we will hear some part of what the rabbi says, and then I will give my response. So please listen carefully to see what he has to say.
And actually uses the King James, a translation of the Hebrew Bible, a putative translation of Tanakh. I don't know if you fully grasp the magnitude of that. That means we're supposed to believe that the angel Moroni revealed to Joseph Smith the Hebrew Bible in the King James. That you understand how preposterous that is? And I didn't even get into the interesting things.
So the rabbi, he makes a very good point. This is Rabbi Tovia Singer. He's an Orthodox Jewish rabbi, but he seems to be very well versed in the Bible, including the New Testament. And also, he is very knowledgeable about Muslims, and he always has very good things to say about Islam and the Quran. So we ask Allah to guide him to the truth. But we will go back to what he says about the Book of Mormon. Yes, he is correct that Joseph Smith, he took many parts of the Book of Mormon, and he used the King James Version to get the Book of Mormon. So if you read in the Book of Mormon, many parts come from the Bible. Isaiah is quoted a lot, and it also seems to copy the errors over. And as the rabbi said, it is very interesting that Joseph Smith would claim that God would reveal the Book of Mormon in English, a translation of the Hebrew Bible, as the rabbi so kindly pointed out. That is a very interesting point, and it's something that Mormons don't think about, but maybe I encourage you to think about it if you are a Mormon. So let's hear more from the rabbi and see what else he has to say. He has some interesting things to say.
How, in the same way that Christians, whether they're Protestants or Catholic, Orthodox, they're doing the same thing that the Mormons do, and you don't give the Mormons a free pass on this. It's preposterous to believe that an angel was relying on a translation of the early 17th century to convey eternal truth to Joseph Smith in upstate New York. It's just completely outrageous. You know that, okay? So that's why sometimes you get this dazed look in the face of Jews when we hear that kind of stuff, okay? And if you want to know more about Septuagint another time, the Church of the Latter-day Saints is a complete idolatry. They believe that Jesus was basically the firstborn spirit child of the Father. So they believe that both Jesus and the Father are divine. They worship them both as divine. In fact, they believe that everyone, all their believers, become gods. We become gods like Jesus, but sort of 1 degree off of separation. They believe that God caused Jesus to be conceived through natural means. I mean, do I need to say more? So they believe that there are millions of gods, that people become gods. The Church of Latter-day Saints, it's idolatry. Why are they so successful? And they are. It's a fast-growing religion. It may be the fastest-growing iteration of Christianity. And I know Christians are going, no, it's not Christianity. I know you think that, but they do. The attraction of the Church of Latter-day Saints is family. For God, what they believe is it's not just idolatry, but it's the worst iteration of idolatry. It's that idolatry that the rest of the church believes in, with the exception of Unitarians and Christadelphians and some other sects. And that is, they believe that Jesus is divine and worthy of worship and veneration. All iterations of idolatry create a mediator between God and man. 1 Timothy 2:5. Always. because God is too remote, too far off. But as it turns out in this case, it really is strange in that the Father, in a sense, became human to bring Jesus into this world through natural means. So there's a lot of many very unusual beliefs they have. People who belong to that church, you'll generally find to be very nice people, but unfortunately, they need to know about the one God of Abraham.
So I have to agree with the rabbi. He has made some very good points about the Mormons. And the first point about family, yes, they have a lot of success because they put a lot of emphasis on the family and they have many children. Mormons are very famous for having lots of kids, so they make more Mormons. So other people are having less kids. So the Mormon church, as he points out, is growing faster than some of the other Christian dominations. And partly that is because they have lots of children. And then they take them to the church, and the church puts a lot of emphasis on the family. The church has a lot of activities for the children and for teenagers to keep them out of trouble. They have like weekly meetings and weekly activities so they can come with their friends and do something to stay out of trouble. So that is a very strong point. And also he pointed out that Mormons, they are very good people. They are friendly and nice neighbors, and they try to do good things. They don't lie so much or cheat. So that makes them very honest. And so people like to deal with them. So it gives them a good impression. And then they become interested in the church and say, well, maybe my kids should learn this. So it is a technique that they use. So, but he pointed out their theology, and that is the issue we've been talking about. The first vision, the Joseph Smith, he claimed to see God and Jesus Christ. And the rabbi, he is referring to the King Fallout Discourse, the famous speech of Joseph Smith in 1844, where he claimed that God was once a man. So it says in Numbers, in the Hebrew Bible, in Numbers 23:19, that God is not a man. But Joseph Smith, he said that God was a man, and then he became a God and had all of us as his spirit children. And Jesus Christ is also a God because he was the first one. So that is kind of similar to the Trinity in some ways, but there is some differences. And it's very close to what Paul taught, as you saw the quote from Timothy, the letter to one of the letters of Paul. So Paul, yes, he taught that Jesus was divine, and he taught that Jesus was the Son of God, and he seemed to teach that they were two beings. And later, the Trinity came about a few hundred years later in the Nicaea Council. That was around 300 years after Jesus, so that took a bit of time. So many Mormons, they will claim that they are following Paul better than the mainstream Christians. They may have a point, but then, as the rabbi also pointed out, many Christians will say, you are not Christian. So, well, I would say the Mormons, they are probably Christians because they believe in Jesus Christ as the Son of God, and they believe that he died for their sins. They also follow the Bible and say it is the Word of God. They just added the Book of Mormon. So the Book of Mormon, as was pointed out, has many teachings from the Bible and many things copied straight over. So in the future, we could do another video about that. So please like this video and subscribe to the channel so we can make more fun content and teach you more interesting things. Please help out the algorithm, write some nice comments, share the videos with your friends, because the algorithm doesn't work well by itself. It needs your help. So, yes, I have to agree with Rabbi Singer, and he even pointed out that the Mormons and other people, they should come to monotheism, follow the God of Abraham, and we would point out as Muslims that we are following the God of Abraham. He is the God of all the prophets: Abraham, Moses, Isaac, Ishmael, Jesus, Muhammad, peace be upon all of them. And Joseph Smith, well, he taught of a different gospel, kind of like Paul, so it's a bit different. So we would say that he was not a prophet, even if he claimed to be one. So, yeah, that is my response. So, I think the rabbi, he was right on point, and we should invite the Mormons to think about these words and also to study the Quran instead of the Book of Mormon, because the Quran, it teaches monotheism. It teaches the first commandment to love God, and that there's only one, and that there's not more than one, and that unfortunately for you, you have no chance to become a god. Yes, Joseph Smith, he did say that his followers will become a god, just as the rabbi pointed out in the same speech, but that's not how it works. So hopefully this has been a very interesting and enlightening video. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you again in the very next video.